Now, debt-ridden Sri Lanka can heave a sigh of relief with the International Monetary Fund approving a $2.9 billion bailout. Expectations in the country are at their very worst, as the economic crunch at this moment is still pretty bad, but things, it is being hoped, will get better in the coming weeks. Now, the IMF board has confirmed that it has signed off on the loan, clearing the way for the release of funds. And according to the IMF, Sri Lanka will get its first tranche of about $330 million in the course of the next 2 days. And going forward, disbursements tied to reviews will take place every 6 months. And as the president said in a televised address, Sri Lanka is no longer a bankrupt nation. Supporters of Ranil Wickremesinghe burst firecrackers and celebrated on the streets of Colombo.
Sri Lankaව බංකොලොත් රටක් හැටියට
Sri Lanka is no longer a bankrupt nation. Therefore, we can restart normal transactions. Our foreign exchange situation improves. We will gradually roll back import restrictions. Essential goods, medicines, and things needed for the tourist industry will be in the first round.
An IMF official has warned that the bailout is conditional and that Colombo must not allow corruption to undermine the package for financial revival. He's also warned that Colombo must continue pursuing tax reforms and greater social safety nets for the poor.
So there are aspects of the program which are clearly targeted towards improving the condition of the poor and the vulnerable. But given the situation in terms of the debt and the need for fiscal consolidation, the rich and the wealthy have to pay more, and that's par for the course.
With scenes from 2022 still fresh in the minds of the people after the country defaulted on its first foreign debt and fears of another round of protests and strikes, if the IMF deal does not go through, then President Wickremesinghe will be put to the test, getting on board India and China to provide the much-needed assurances to meet with the requirements of the IMF. But how will all of this, of course, play out is going to be a pretty difficult task to predict. And to give us more updates in terms of what exactly is happening in Sri Lanka at this moment, we are being joined in by our correspondent, Dasuni Thavda, who is joining us live from Colombo. Dasuni, the fact that the IMF is willing to, in fact, disburse the funds which Sri Lanka so critically needs must come in as a big sigh of relief. Tell us as to how both the political establishment and the people in Sri Lanka are looking at this news.
Well, absolutely, Sid. This was a story that the entire island nation has been waiting for months, where we've been anticipating this as early as the latter parts of last year. But however, in March this year, as of yesterday, the IMF did confirm that they are going to disburse the much-awaited $3 billion. In terms of a political standpoint, last night we did see a government as well as opposition political leaders sort of siding and wishing well for the president in this move, given how difficult it was for the president to sort of get this going and to get this approved and finalized. We also did experience some form of celebrations across the island nation today with supporters of the government sort of lighting firecrackers and celebrating. But the larger picture is, some analysts say that the real challenge for Sri Lanka begins only now that Sri Lanka is sort of put under a microscopic lens, where the IMF officials will be monitoring each and every aspect of Sri Lanka's governance and politics, and that Sri Lanka simply cannot afford to have a rerun of what we experienced in 2022.
Absolutely indeed, Dasani. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us all those updates. We'll of course come back to you as more details emerge in this story. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.